What's up guys, Zac Perna here, and on today's video we talk intermittent fasting and how you can get shredded if you don't eat. Let's do it.
I be that young rapping dude, might just trap with you, coming with the thunder baby, might just...
Alright guys, so I actually can't believe I haven't made a video on this topic considering I basically do it every day. So better late than never, please forgive me, but this video is intermittent fasting. So a quick run through on what it is, and then I'll go through the benefits, my personal opinion on it, and how you guys can apply it too. Also I'll go through some disadvantages as well, can't forget that. So basically intermittent fasting is just going a period of time without food. So a little bit longer than you sleep, and it's extending that fasting period to get the benefits associated with that. So first and foremost, you have to be in a calorie deficit if you want to be burning fat, and like everything else, you've got to be in a calorie surplus if you want to build muscle. I'll talk about this as from a fat loss kind of perspective, because that's kind of where it shines, I think, but it's a good lifestyle diet anyway. So back to the types. So we've got your 16-8. So what that is 8 hours of the day is your feeding window, and the 16 hours is your fasting. So what people will do usually is they'll go to bed, they'll have their last meal, say 8 o'clock at night, go to bed, skip breakfast, and have their first meal at 12. So they're eating from 12 p.m. until 8 p.m. And what that's doing is it's extending that fasting period from bed, and you're getting a 16-hour fasting. Another type is like an every other day fast. So they kind of get a bit more hectic and a bit more intense because some of them involve you fasting for a day or 24 hours or longer. So I don't like that. I think that's a bit too hard for me. I probably couldn't fast for 24 hours. I mean, I could, I wouldn't die, but I wouldn't enjoy it and I wouldn't really want to try it. So, but I've known guys like Aaron Curtis who fast for, I think he did a week. There's studies where guys fasted for like 50 days. It's insane. But anyway, back on track. The type I'll talk about today is the 16-8. So just know that there's a few different types. As long as you're going without food for a period of time, more than normal, then you are basically intermittent fasting, as long as you're eating again. All right, so let's talk benefits. I really want to break the benefits down into like practical benefits, which is I think are the most important. But you've also got physiological benefits and mental ones too. I guess it kind of falls under practical. But I think the most important benefit of this, I find, is that it enables you to eat fewer calories. And I think this is where the diet works so well with a lot of people, is that people end up eating fewer calories inadvertently. They don't even realize it, because you are eliminating snacking, because you're not finding yourself hungry before bed and snacking before bed. You don't eat in those hours, so you eat fewer calories that way. Also, when you combine all of your meals into one eating window, you can't eat that much. I mean, I can, because I have a disgustingly piggish appetite, but most people can't. So if you were to put 2,000 calories in to a 4-hour window or an 8-hour window, it's quite a lot of food to be getting in a single sitting. So I think in that sense, you will eat fewer calories, and also you'll be less hungry. So I know this sounds strange because you're going without food for longer, but the more you go without food, the longer you go without food and the more you fast, the better you get at it, and the more your body will adapt. So I personally don't eat till at least 11 a.m. every day, sometimes 12, sometimes 1, depending on when I'm training and how long I'm training for. But I'll fast, and then I'll train fasted, come home and have my post-workout meal. So generally that sits around 12, 11 o'clock. On rest days, I still won't eat until about 11 or 12 o'clock. And my body's used to that. I don't wake up hungry anymore. I used to wake up like starving. So I literally get out of bed, grab the oats next to my bed. That's a lie, that never happened, but I would wake up quite hungry. But now I don't. So it's funny how your body just adapts and it gets used to it pretty quickly. I will quickly talk over some physiological benefits because they are there and granted, but I don't think they are as important as the practical ones and the mental ones. I think that's where the results really come through, but I still think they're worth mentioning. So some benefits of it are the hormonal benefits. So they've seen increases in growth hormone levels, which means more muscle gained and more fat lost as well. They've also seen improved insulin sensitivity, so the rate your body handles carbohydrates. And if you're less insulin resistant, it means you're less chance of getting type 2 diabetes, which is probably the #1 risk factor for every disease. So it's great for that. It keeps you insulin sensitive, but I mean, if you're still shoveling in a lot of carbs, then there's not much point to it really. But constantly having lower insulin levels throughout the day because you're fasting, that enables you to tap into body fat a little bit better technically. If you're eating more calories than you're burning, forget about it. But at the same time, if you're dieting, then it's putting your body in a really good place to burn fat. There have been studies shown as well that it boosts your metabolism. Don't make me quote these guys. I don't sit here reading studies all day, but I've seen it. So it can boost your metabolism. I wouldn't rely on that, but it is just something to know. It's a good thing to know. So that means if you're burning more calories and at the same time eating less, it's good for dieting, obviously. And again, it's got other benefits too, to do with cell repair. I think when your body goes through a fasted state, it's called autophagy, I think that's how you say it. And what it is just cleaning and repair of the cells. So there's also been studies to show that it's cancer preventative. Who knows? Doesn't hurt, I guess. But it's essentially just don't eat. And if not eating can do all that, then you may as well give it a crack. So let's talk mental benefits just quickly. This is probably my favorite one, is that it feels like you're eating massive meals. So instead of thinking, oh my God, I'm starving in this hour, I can't eat for the next 2 hours, you just think, you know, when it's time to eat, you got to think, how big is this? So instead of just eating a normal sized meal, you're not just skipping breakfast and then just having normal lunch. You are combining meals and having your day's worth of calories in a shorter window. So for me, it feels like you're eating a lot. My experience with fasting is that you can have a massive meal or a big 2 meals and it feels like you're eating a lot more than you really are. So if, for instance, if you want to do an 8-hour eating window, you don't eat, you eat at 1 p.m, you have a huge meal. Even if you want to have your brekkie foods there, it doesn't matter. Have a big meal, big post-workout meal, whatever it is. Then maybe 4 or 5 hours later, you have your dinner at about 6 o'clock, and you again have another big meal. So instead of splitting up 2,000 calories across 6 meals, you're splitting up 2,000 calories across 2. So it's a lot better that way, guys. And for me, mentally, I think that makes the diet a lot more worthwhile, especially when your calories start to get really low. It's a really good thing to do. You can put that in there as just a mental tactic to make it feel like you're eating more calories than you are and a lot more food. All right, let's talk disadvantages. To be honest, the only disadvantage I think is that some people might not be used to it, and not eating from a given time in the morning it might make them feel really tired and extremely hungry. You might get overly fixated on food and become, kind of obsessed with it, and you're just counting down to your next meal. I do that anyway, but you can get a bit obsessive because if you're really starving. So I guess it just comes down to the point that it's not for everybody. So it might not be for you. Don't do this diet if you feel like you'll become overly attached or it's just gonna put you through hell. It's not worth it. A lot of people put themselves through this crazy stress, like doing this diet, doing the intermittent fasting, because they think it's right, I'm gonna be burning so much more fat, I'm burning so much more fat, just don't eat until like 3 a.m. And what happens is they just drive themselves crazy. So the benefits of you doing it is not worth putting yourself through hell if you don't like it. So it's as simple as that, guys. That's a deal breaker. If you think I really don't enjoy it, don't do it, done. Another disadvantage with it is a lot of people will skip breakfast and then they'll say, yeah, I'm intermittent fasting, but they overeat to compensate for those lost calories. So say they didn't have a 400, 500 calorie meal in the morning, they'll go, nah, I need to eat more. This is my last meal. I didn't eat brekkie this morning. And so they'll overeat and overcompensate for that. So if you're not following a structured meal plan or a calorie counted plan, then you're kind of risking it because you might be overeating just because you missed out on the eating window earlier that day. Again, if you're eating your last meal at night, you might think panic sets in and go, oh, I've got to train in the morning. I'm not going to be eating for another 16 hours. I better eat 6 cakes. And what it'll do is you're just going to put on a little bit more body fat, or it's just going to set you dieting back. So know that too, that you can't overeat. So the best thing I think about this diet is you have to be following a structured meal plan already. If you've already got your diet, you've got your daily calories, slot them in a smaller time window. That's it. The only tricky thing is timing it around your workouts. So if you're talking training and intermittent fasting, I recommend you have some BCAAs. So this is where the supplements come in handy. If you're training fasted, say first thing in the morning, it's gonna break your fast. Technically, having BCAAs is gonna break your fast, but the benefits from that, I think, outweigh the disadvantages of breaking that fast. So break your fast, have your BCAAs during your workout, and then post-workout, make sure you eat. So that's what I do. I time my fast around my workout. So if I train in the morning at say 10 a.m., 11 a.m., I will eat after my workout, and that's breaking my fast. So then you get all your carbs in, you get a lot of protein in there too. You can keep that low fat if that post-workout one, and then jam your protein and fats in later in the day. That's how I like to do it. And you're maximizing the nutrient timing as well. So I do get a lot of questions about the whole supplement thing, saying, can I have fat burners, can I have BCAAs if they're breaking the fast? I think the benefits outweigh it, so you can still keep them in there so you don't lose any muscle. And just quickly, I want to touch on the misconceptions usually with intermittent fasting. A lot of people say they get scared of skipping breakfast. So this is like an age-old myth saying if you skip breakfast, your body will go bang into starvation mode and think, let's store all these calories. It's if you don't have your brekkie one day and your body goes, we just didn't get a banana. we better store every bit of food as body fat. It just doesn't happen like that. Your body is not designed to just go, all right, starvation, didn't have brekkie. It doesn't really live by that. The thing that happens with people when they skip breakfast, usually why it's not good, is like I was saying before, because they'll overeat later. But if you're counting for that and you know that you skip breakfast because you're gonna have it later, sweet, then that's all fine. Another myth is the meal frequency. So a lot of people think you've got to eat 6 to 8 times to 24 times a day if you want to grow or if you want to burn fat, because what do they say? It boosts your metabolism because it keeps it going. That myth came from the thermic effect of food, which is the calories burnt by your body, like digesting and taking it in, but that's just relative to the size of the meal. So say for example, it takes 200 calories to burn 2,000 calories of food. It doesn't matter if you eat that in one sitting, it doesn't matter if you eat it spread throughout the day, it's the same amount of calories burned on that bit of food. So the fact that you're splitting it up makes no difference. So meal frequency is complete myth. I think that's pretty well established now, that you don't need to be eating 6 to 8 small meals a day to keep the metabolism going. It's just not a thing. A thing that works really well with intermittent fasting is a keto diet. So I'm a big fan of keto. I've done keto before. I basically do keto diets on my rest days. I've even got an ebook about it on my website. It's a great diet for insulin sensitivity. It does boost fat loss, but mainly you get these mental benefits. Like you get a lot of mental energy because you're shifting your body's primary fuel source from carbs to fats. And I've got a lot of fats on my body, as do most people, so it's an easy source of calories for the brain and the body. So what happens when you're in ketosis and you're fasting is that because you've got this abundance of energy as fat and ketones, your body won't need to be relying on sugars to come in to fuel your brain. So if you're fasting and you're on a keto diet, you can fast for a long time. So when I was on a keto diet, my blood sugar levels were really stable. I wasn't hungry. So I could fast till maybe 2 p.m. most days without any issues, especially if I got up and did cardio or did something like that. It's very easy to do. So the two go hand in hand, because I think they allow you to go for longer time without food, and also it feels like you've got this brain stimulation. You've got a lot more energy from the keto diet itself. So if you want to give that a crack, I'll put the link in the description of the ebook. Otherwise, just shoot me a message if you've got any questions about it. Really good stuff. So I'll try and wrap this up for you guys just quickly. If you want to do an intermittent fasting for fat loss, I would recommend choosing an 8-hour window to eat. So my favorite would be 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. You can make this as short as you want. So you can make it 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. It doesn't really matter. You can have one giant meal in a day. It doesn't really matter. Just keep in mind getting that protein and carb timing post-workout, starting your feeding window then, and then cutting it back as long as you like. So you'll get a variety of benefits. A lot mental, there's a lot of psychological benefits, but there are a lot of physiological benefits that can't be ignored as well. So definitely give it a crack. If you're not the person to do that, you can't go for long periods without food, you feel like you need carbs pre-workout or a meal pre-workout, which is fair enough, I used to as well, then it might not be the diet for you. Don't think that you're missing out on too much by not doing it, but it is worth a shot, and I think it is a very good diet for lifestyle if you can go without food for a longer time. For overall health, it just seems to be a more natural kind of thing to do. Probably didn't see cavemen like getting up at 7 a.m, getting out their Tupperware from the fridge and just jamming down a meal. Probably not a thing. It's something that we've just come to do as a society now, is get up, have food as an abundance straight away. I think it's beneficial for people just not eat, especially if you have a lot of body fat to burn. I know, that sounds ridiculous. Just don't eat. How's that sound? There's my coaching advice for you guys. Buy my plans. Yeah, don't eat. But I think it is helpful. Just to think sometimes that you don't need ridiculous amounts of food all the time. You can go for periods without it. And I think it makes it a little bit more exciting as well. Like the mental thing of now I get to have this huge plate as opposed to this portioned out little bit of meat that is not going to fill you up. So if you can go for a longer period of time without it, you'll get used to not eating. The whole process will become a lot easier. But that is about it, guys. I think I've mentioned all the things I wanted to talk about. There's a whole bunch, but I really wanted to give you guys a big run through introductory on the whole intermittent fasting in my opinion. So I like it. I do it every day. I still get my post-workout meal in, and I think that's about it. So if you did like the video, chuck something in the comments, hit the like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well, and tell them subscribe. Let me know in the comments too what you guys think about fasting. Have you tried it? What are your hours? Has anybody fasted over a week? So I'm curious to know. I might try it. It should be a challenge. We'll see how we go. Alright, that is it for me, guys. You know what to do. Stay massive.
All these sexy jeans in my section, and slide into your DMs in the PM and the AM. Then I slide into your feelings when you see just what I'm saying.